Dream collaboration with another YouTuber. Oof. Well, I have a lot of those. Jazza, I've talked about him before, that would be ridiculous. I got something in the mail today. Kangaroos, etc. It says that it's all the way from Australia. So, see. Dear Emil, looking forward to seeing what you do with this guy.
I love your content and I wish you all the best of luck. Hopefully he's not as awkward to paint as he was to make. All the best, Jazza. P.S. He's sent with lots of kisses.
God damn! Holy crap! So, that's Jazza the jazzmanian devil for you. He used to be one of my favorite creators on YouTube, and now he's just the dude that gave me the itch. Jazza is a creative force with over 5 million subscribers, and apparently, just like me, he's a nerd. He twittered at me. Twittered? That's a word, right? About doing a collaboration, and of course my answer was no. Who am I kidding? I don't think I've ever been so childishly happy about a collaboration request in my life. Well, Jazza, what have you got for me? His idea was to make a sculptor for me to paint made entirely of green stuff. It's probably the worst epoxy sculpt clay that you can work with, and he wanted to make a whole sculpture from it. So, Jazza, take it away. And if you want to see how he came about sculpting this figure, it's an incredibly funny video. I've seen it. Check out the link to his video in my video description. After a few days of planning and thinking, I had an idea of a story I wanted to tell. There is this scene in the movie Pacific Rim where one of the giant kaiju monsters is facing off with a tiny little girl. And I really like that juxtapositioning of this huge monster and a tiny innocent character. I found this tiny cute little pug carrying some flasks of unknown content. Well, this is a start. I like to plan my composition before I start any painting to see if this stuff fits together, and quite frankly, I was super pleased. I'm using some cork bark to create what would be the rock that the tiny pug would be standing on to create a better balance of the piece. But once the rock is in place, we need everything to fit together perfectly. We don't just want a flat surface and one huge rock. For the next step, I'm going to use some modeling compound. This is from Geek Gaming. So I'm going to mix 3 parts modeling compound and 1 part water, and yeah, let's build sort of the general shape of the whole build. I was sent some new fun tools to try out by Luke from Geek Gaming. These slates I'm putting on the base, as well as the modeling compound I'm using in the next steps. It's sort of a papier-mâché cement that I can use to sculpt more of a cave structure and remove some of the flat surfaces. Once the compound is in place, I have about 20 minutes of working time before it dries. It's so much faster than any other clay I've ever worked with. So I'm pushing in some small slate rock parts into the compound before it dries. This seals the rocks in place and no glue is needed. One last thing though before we're done with the base building, I needed to add some sand mix to the base bottom. This specific one is again from Geek Gaming, it's called Base Ready, and this gives me a more natural texture to the bottom instead of that sort of papier-mâché feeling to it. And to get that to stick, I'm using some basing glue, and this basing glue it's good. So it's time to move over to painting. Of course, I'll be painting all of these miniatures using my Squidmar Mark I brushes that was launched at Kickstarter not more than 2 days ago. Thanks to all of you viewers, we hit that Kickstarter goals in 12 minutes. That's 12 freaking minutes. There's still 19 more days to join the Kickstarter campaign to pick up the brushes or any of the cool busts that we've created, and I'll be making some tutorials for these busts a bit later down the line to help you become a better painter. So I'll be starting off by painting our tiny little pug, using the small Squidmar brush, starting with a sepia tone color and then just going brighter and brighter with the highlights on the top of the pug. The pug also has a lot of black areas, and I'm painting these with a really dark brown instead of just plain black. The color is called Rhinox Hide, and I'm highlighting this, just adding tiny bits of white in 2 different steps to make it pop a little bit more. As for the flasks, I thought green would complement the cave environment very well, so I'm making the flasks green and the leather brown. Moving on to painting the scene itself. I wanted to make it feel like a gloomy cave, starting off with some dark sea blues in the shadows, going to some warpstone glow, it's sort of a fine green color, and highlight it with sunny skin tone, giving us a nice transition from blue to greens to sort of a yellowy pale tone, still keeping it a very desaturated and gloomy mix. I finally feel like I got the idea of what I wanted to do with the big monster. That was the last piece that I felt was missing in my mind when I was creating this scene. The monster you see before you is none other than the genius scientist called Bruce Pugster, who turned into the incredible Pulk after injecting himself with a mysterious radioactive goo. Luckily, his mother Martha, because every superhero's mother is named Martha, have these bottles of his favorite soda pop, and whenever he drinks one of those he calms down and turns back into the genius scientist that he originally is. Outside of the occasional saving the world from AIs gone bad and aliens traveling through portals, Bruce Pugster spends most of his time in his cave, and that's pretty much just to save the city Pugtropolis from his rampaging outbursts.
Here we find the Swedish miniature painter preparing to attempt a new task. You can see by his sluggish, clumsy movement that he's just woken up, and now he's readying himself to pour some 2-component resin to create a cave lake. Still in his pajamas, he's getting ready for success. Why miniature painters dwell in their basements producing these tiny dioramas is a mystery to modern science, but its appearance is nevertheless intriguing to behold.
So guys, on to the final reveal. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you guys did, don't forget to leave likes and comments, and of course subscribe if you want to see more stuff. A massive shout out to Jazza for this challenge. I had so much fun painting this. It was quite hard because it's a difficult material to paint on, and I understand that it's even more difficult to sculpt with, so it created some details that was let's call it more difficult to paint. Also, a massive shout out to Guy from Midwinter Minis for doing this incredible David Attenborough impression. If you want to learn more about my brand new brushes and bust release, check out the Kickstarter campaign linked in the video description. Massive shout out to all of the patrons who are supporting this channel, making sure that everything keeps running as normal. And special thank you to all of my top patron supporters. Alice, Brandon, Alex, Guy, Daniel, Christopher, Joshua, Mark LA, Jonas, Mark Andre, and Richard. And guys, with that said, have a great day. Bye! I got something in the mail today, all the way from Jazza. Let's open up and see. Take it away.
I got pug,
kangaroo, monster,